Let me tell you about the day the Galactic Council made their biggest mistake. Sorry for my bad manners. I am Ambassador Talon K. Vex of the Centaur Alliance. I watched the most entertaining political blunder in the history of space-traveling civilizations. The Grand Council chamber sparkled with its usual showiness that day. Floating platforms, arranged in circles, held representatives from 200 species, all wearing their finest official robes. The human group stood at the center platform, looking surprisingly calm for a species about to be rejected by the galaxy's most powerful governing body. Counselor Zaramteth, with her 7-foot-tall frame and shining scales, stood up. Her voice boomed through the chamber. The Council has reached its decision about Earth's request for membership. I noticed Trade Minister Benjamin Hawks of Earth standing perfectly straight, though his knuckles turned white as he gripped the podium. Next to him, Captain Lyra Novak's face stayed neutral, but her green eyes burned with an intensity that made several council members shift uncomfortably in their seats. The request is denied, Teth announced, her breathing gills fluttering with poorly hidden satisfaction. Earth's speed of technological advancement is too aggressive. Your species' tendency for rapid military growth poses an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. The chamber filled with sounds of agreement, though I noticed several ambassadors looking uncomfortable. The Arcturus representative beside me whispered, "Well, that's rich coming from the species that invented planet-cracking mining operations." Minister Hawks cleared his throat, silencing the chamber. "Distinguished members of the Council, while we respect your decision, we feel we must point out how short-sighted your judgment is." Teth's scales rippled in annoyance. "Are you questioning the wisdom of this council, Minister Hawks?" "Not at all, High Counselor," Hawks smiled, and I swear the temperature in the room dropped several degrees. "I am merely suggesting that in your eagerness to contain humanity, you may have overlooked a basic truth about our species." Captain Novak stepped forward, her voice carrying clearly across the chamber. "We didn't come here seeking permission to advance. We came extending an offer of partnership." Several council members laughed, but I noticed Teth's gills had stopped fluttering. The human delegation began walking toward the exit, but Hawks paused at the chamber doors. "A word of advice, esteemed council," he said, his tone dripping with political sweetness. "You might want to reconsider your policy on independent technological advancement. You never know when you might need friends who think outside your carefully constructed box." The doors closed behind them with a quiet hiss, leaving an unsettled silence. I looked around at my fellow council members, most of whom were already returning to their usual self-important discussions, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we had just witnessed something significant. "Rather dramatic exit," commented Ambassador Talk of the Ral Confederation, his tentacles curling in amusement. "Indeed," I replied, watching Teth trying to restore order to the chamber. "But I can't help wondering if we'll come to regret not having humans inside our circle of influence." Talk's tentacles waved dismissively. What could they possibly accomplish on their own? They're centuries behind most council races in technological development. I smiled, remembering the glint in Captain Novak's eyes. "That's exactly what makes them dangerous, my friend. We've just told a species known for their resourcefulness and determination that they're not good enough for our club." "You worry too much," Talk chuckled. "What's the worst that could happen?" As the session resumed and the council moved on to debating trade taxes on luxury goods, I couldn't help but think that we were about to find out exactly what humans were capable of when pushed into a corner. And something told me it would be quite the show. 5 years. It's remarkable how much can change in 5 years when humans set their minds to something. I should know. I've spent the last half-decade watching them with growing fascination from my diplomatic post near Earth's solar system. "Ambassador KX, you might want to see this." My aide AR Tull called me to the observation deck one morning. Through the station's view screen, I saw what appeared to be a ship performing impossible maneuvers. The vessel, sleek and angular, executed a series of rapid space jumps that shouldn't have been possible without tearing itself apart. "What in the name of the 7 moons am I looking at?" I demanded. "The humans are calling it the Thunderbolt-class destroyer. It's their newest warship, equipped with something they've dubbed quantum slip technology." I felt my facial ridges flatten in disbelief. That's impossible. The Council's best scientists determined that quantum manipulation at that scale would require at least another century of research. Artul's antennae twitched nervously. Well, sir, apparently nobody told the humans that. The next few months brought more surprises. Reports flooded in from across the sector, each more alarming than last. The humans hadn't just been busy, they'd been revolutionary. Without the Council's restrictive technology sharing rules, they'd taken an entirely different approach to space travel. I remember the day I met Admiral Victoria Stone, the creator of Earth's new space force. She'd invited me to tour their primary shipyard, hidden within the asteroid belt of their system. As my shuttle approached, I nearly forgot to breathe. The facility stretched for kilometers, a massive complex of connected construction bays and research stations. Impressive, isn't it? Admiral Stone's voice carried a hint of pride as she guided me through the facility. Her silver hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her uniform bore the newly designed insignia of the Earth Independent Force. We call it Phoenix Yard. Fitting, don't you think? The main construction bay housed something that made my heart skip a beat, a vessel. Unlike anything I'd ever seen, easily rivaling the size of the Council's largest capital ships. Meet the EIS Defiance, Stone announced, gesturing toward the behemoth. The first of our Titan-class carriers. She carries 500 Thunderbolt destroyers, 300 support vessels, and enough firepower to make any potential enemy think twice. And how many of these Titans are you building? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Stone's smile reminded me of a predator. That's classified, Ambassador. Though I will say, this is far from the only shipyard we've established. As we continued the tour, I noticed something unusual about their workforce. Your engineering teams, they're not just human. Very observant, Stone nodded. When the Council rejected us, several independent worlds, and even some Council citizens saw an opportunity. We've welcomed anyone willing to contribute their expertise. No arbitrary restrictions, no technology sharing limitations, just pure innovation. The most shocking revelation came in the research wing. Dr. Nathan Blake, their lead scientist, was practically bouncing with excitement as he showed me their latest breakthrough. We've cracked parallel dimension energy extraction, he announced, pointing to a pulsing core of swirling energy. Unlimited power, clean and safe. The Council said it couldn't be done. We did it in 3 years. I recalled the countless Council sessions where such research had been banned as too dangerous. Yet here it was, functioning perfectly. How did you overcome the quantum destabilization issue? We stopped trying to control it, Blake explained. Instead, we learned to dance with it. Sometimes the best solution is the one nobody else would dare to try. As my visit concluded, Admiral Stone walked me back to my shuttle. You know, Ambassador, some on Earth wanted to keep all this secret, but I convinced them to let you see it. Why? I asked, genuinely curious. Because you were one of the few who voted in our favor at the Council meeting. And because someone needs to tell them what's coming. She handed me a data crystal. Our official announcement of independence from Council space goes out tomorrow. We're establishing our own alliance, open to any world that wants to join us. I held the crystal, feeling its weight. The Council won't like this. The Council, Stone replied, doesn't have to like it. They just have to live with it. As my shuttle left Phoenix Yard, I watched several more Thunderbolt destroyers emerge. From their construction bays, their quantum drives leaving trails of impossibly beautiful light in their wake. I thought back to Trade Minister Hawk's warning 5 years ago about thinking outside the box. The humans hadn't just thought outside the box, they'd rebuilt the entire game. The Council's arrogance finally caught up with them. 6 months after Earth's declaration of independence, it started with raids on the outer colonies. Swift and brutal attacks that left our supply chains in shambles. The Scarlet Armada, they called themselves, pirates with technology that somehow matched our most advanced warships. I sat through emergency session after emergency session, watching the mighty Galactic Council reduced to squabbling children. High Councilor Mteth's scales had lost their luster, her composure cracking as another distress call echoed through the chamber. The Proxima trading hub has fallen, the automated message announced. Requesting immediate assistance. That's the third major port this week. Ambassador Tak's tentacles writhed in distress. How are they bypassing our defense grids? The answer came from an unexpected source. Commander Amanda Blackwood, now serving as Earth's unofficial observer to the Council, stood at the back of the chamber. Her presence was technically against protocol, but no one had the courage to remove her. They're using quantum slip signatures to mask their approach, she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. The same technology you mocked us for pursuing 5 years ago. All eyes turned to her. Teth's gills fluttered in agitation. You dare suggest these pirates obtained their technology from Earth? Blackwood laughed, a sound that sent chills down my spinal ridges. No, High Counselor. I'm suggesting they stole it from you. Remember those research facilities you shut down when we proposed quantum slip development? The ones you abandoned rather than secure properly. The chamber fell silent. I watched Blackwood move to the central platform, her bearing that of someone who knew exactly how the game would play out. Those facilities contained partial research data, enough for someone with resources and determination to piece together a crude version of the technology. She smiled. Of course, it's nothing compared to what we've developed since then. If what you say is true, I spoke up, then you know how to counter their attacks. We do. Blackwood activated a holographic display showing the pirates' attack patterns. The Scarlet Armada is using unstable quantum slip drives. They can match your ship speed, but their maneuverability is limited. They have to drop out of quantum space at predictable points. Tak's tentacles curled in frustration. This information is useless without ships capable of intercepting them. Funny you should mention that. Blackwood's eyes sparkled with barely contained amusement. Earth's independent force happens to have a fleet in the sector conducting training exercises. The implications hit the Council like a plasma storm. Teth's scales rippled with barely contained rage. You planned this? No, High Counselor. We predicted it. There's a difference. Blackwood's tone remained professional, but I caught the slight upturn at the corner of her mouth. We're offering our assistance in exchange for formal recognition of Earth's independent status and trading rights. I had to admire the elegance of it. The humans had maneuvered the Council into a perfect trap, either accept help from a species they had rejected or watch their trade empire crumble. Teth glanced around the chamber, seeing nothing but desperate faces. What assurance do we have that your assistance will be effective? As if on cue, another emergency transmission filled the chamber. This time it was from the Scarlet Armada itself, their leader's panicked voice filling the room. Multiple contacts. They're coming out of nowhere. Our quantum signatures are being tracked somehow. They're everywhere. The transmission cut off abruptly. Blackwood calmly checked her datapad. That would be Commander Renee Martinez and the 7th Quick Response Fleet. They've been shadowing the pirates for the past week, gathering tactical data. I couldn't help but laugh, earning shocked looks from my fellow council members. You already engaged them, didn't you? This entire presentation was just a courtesy. Ambassador KX, Blackwood nodded in acknowledgement. As sharp as ever. Yes, Earth's fleet began operations against the Scarlet Armada 12 hours ago. We've already liberated 2 of your trading hubs and captured 3 of their capital ships. The Council erupted in a mixture of outrage and relief. Through it all, Blackwood stood calmly, holding a data crystal similar to the one Admiral Stone had given me months ago. The treaty is pre-drafted, she said. All it needs are your signatures. I watched as the mighty Galactic Council, masters of 1,000 worlds, filed one by one to sign a treaty with the species they had deemed unworthy. Sometimes I reflected the greatest victories come not from the battles we fight, but from the ones we make unnecessary. The arrival of Earth's battle fleet in Council space was nothing short of spectacular. I stood on the observation deck of the Council's premier defensive station, watching as reality itself seemed to bend. Hundreds of quantum rifts bloomed against the backdrop of stars, each one birthing a warship of gleaming silver and blue. By the cosmic winds, Tak whispered beside me, all 6 tentacles frozen in shock. How many ships are there? Before I could answer, a new quantum rift dwarfed all others. From it emerged the EIS. Defiance, the Titan-class carrier I'd seen under construction months ago. Its massive form cast a shadow across the station, while squadrons of Thunderbolt destroyers took up escort positions with precision that made our best fleet maneuvers look amateurish. Admiral James Sterling's hologram materialized in the station's command center. His weathered face and steady gaze commanded attention without effort. Council Station, this is Admiral Sterling of the Earth Independent Force. We're here to assist with your pirate problem. High Counselor Mteth attempted to maintain her dignity. Admiral, while we appreciate the assistance offered by Commander Blackwood, this show of force seems excessive. Sterling's laugh was warm, but carried an edge of steel. With respect, Counselor, you haven't seen the half of it yet. The Scarlet Armada has gathered their entire fleet for a push toward your core worlds. Our intelligence suggests they have over 2,000 vessels. Impossible. Mteth's scales flared in alarm. Our reports indicated no more than 300 ships. Your reports, Sterling replied, were based on conventional scanning methods. We've been tracking their quantum wake signatures. Speaking of which, he checked something off-screen. Their main fleet will arrive in 3, 2, 1. Right on cue, space erupted with the arrival of the Scarlet Armada. Their ships, dark and bristling with weapons, emerged from quantum space in attack formation. Under normal circumstances, it would have been terrifying, but something was off about their approach. Admiral, I noted, they're maintaining their quantum slip signatures far longer than should be possible. Sterling's grin widened. Very observant, Ambassador KX. You're about to witness why we insisted on taking tactical control of this operation. Lieutenant Parker, if you would. A series of quantum pulses emanated from the Earth fleet. The effect on the pirate armada was immediate and devastating. Ships began spinning out of control, their quantum drives screaming in protest. We've been broadcasting a destabilization signal tuned to their crude quantum drives. Sterling explained as chaos erupted among the pirate fleet. They're about to learn why stealing technology you don't fully understand is a bad idea. The battle that followed was less a fight and more a masterclass in tactical superiority. Earth's Thunderbolt destroyers moved in perfect coordination, their quantum drives allowing them to appear and disappear at will. Each strike was precise, disabling rather than destroying when possible. Note how they're herding the pirates toward the Defiance, Talk observed, professional admiration creeping into his voice. I nodded, like shepherds guiding a flock. But why? My question was answered as the Defiance's massive hull split open, revealing what looked like a quantum slip drive large enough to power a small moon. The device hummed to life, creating a controlled quantum storm that swept up the trapped pirate vessels. Ladies and gentlemen, Sterling announced, you're witnessing the first deployment of our quantum containment net. The pirates' stolen drives are being safely neutralized, and their ships will be tractored in for boarding and arrest. The entire operation took less than 30 minutes. When it was over, the mighty Scarlet Armada had been reduced to a collection of powerless hulks, their crews surrendering en masse. Mteth's composure finally broke. How did you advance so far in just 5 years? Because you gave us no choice. A new voice joined the conversation. Commander Blackwood stepped onto the command deck, having apparently arrived during the battle. You told us we weren't ready, that we needed centuries to achieve what you had. So we stopped playing by your rules. Sterling's hologram nodded. Humanity has a long history of achieving the impossible when backed into a corner. You gave us the greatest gift possible. You made us prove ourselves without restriction. I watched as Earth's fleet began the process of securing the captured pirate vessels. Their efficiency was breathtaking, their technology beyond anything the Council had achieved in centuries of careful, regulated progress. Admiral, I asked, was this show of force really necessary? You could have defeated the pirates with a much smaller fleet. Sterling's eyes twinkled. Ambassador, this wasn't just about the pirates. This was a message. The galaxy is changing. The old ways of the Council, the careful control of progress, the artificial restrictions on development, they're over. Blackwood picked up where he left off. Earth is establishing a new order, one based on innovation, cooperation, and the understanding that progress cannot be contained. We're offering membership to any world that shares our vision. The command center fell silent as the implications sank in. Through the viewport we could see more Earth ships arriving through quantum rifts, these ones bearing the flags of former Council worlds that had already pledged allegiance to the new human-led alliance. Well played, I finally said, earning surprised looks from my fellow Council members. You didn't just save us from the pirates. You saved us from ourselves. Sterling's hologram gave a respectful nod. The question now, Ambassador KX, is what the Council will do with this second chance we've given them. As I watched Earth's fleet secure Council space with elegant precision, I couldn't help but appreciate the irony. In trying to prevent humanity from becoming too powerful, we had created exactly what we feared. But perhaps, I reflected, that wasn't such a bad thing after all. The negotiations took place aboard the EIS Defiant, a choice that spoke volumes about the shift in power. Gone were the elaborate ceremonies and flowing robes of the Council chambers. Instead, we gathered in a sleek conference room that hummed with barely contained energy from the ship's quantum core. Trade Minister Hawks, now bearing the title of Alliance Diplomatic Chief, sat at the head of the table. 5 years had added silver to his temples, but none of the weary subservience the Council had expected from him half a decade ago. Let's be direct, Hawks began, his voice carrying the same calm authority I remembered from the Council rejection ceremony. Earth and its allies are establishing a new interstellar coalition. The Galactic Council is welcome to join as equal members, not as leaders. Teth's scales rippled with indignation. You expect us to simply surrender our authority? The Council has maintained peace for 10,000 years. Peace through stagnation is not peace at all, Commander Blackwood countered from her position by the viewport. While you were maintaining the status quo, pirates nearly destroyed your trade networks using borrowed technology. Imagine what other threats might be lurking beyond known space. I watched Admiral Sterling pull up a holographic display of the known galaxy. Dozens of systems glowed bright blue, indicating worlds that had already aligned with Earth. 47 systems have joined us in the past month alone, Sterling noted. They're drawn to our philosophy of open technological exchange and mutual defense. The Council's age of restricted progress is over. Tak's tentacles curled anxiously. And if we refuse to join, then you'll be left behind, Hawks stated simply. We won't interfere with Council space, but we won't share our advancements either. Your worlds will be safe, protected by outdated technology, while the rest of the galaxy moves forward. The Council representatives erupted in arguments, their voices bouncing off the quantum-dampened walls. Through it all, Hawks remained perfectly still, a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth. I caught Commander Blackwood's eye and gestured toward the door. She nodded, understanding my intent. Chiefs, Admirals, Council members, I announced, rising from my seat, I have an announcement to make. The room fell silent, even Teth's scales stilled. The Centaur Alliance hereby withdraws from the Galactic Council and formally requests membership in Earth's coalition. The chaos that followed was predictable, but Hawks raised a hand for silence. Ambassador KX, your request is welcomed, but I'm curious about your reasoning. I looked around the room at the faces of those who had guided galactic policy for centuries. 5 years ago, we rejected humanity because we feared their potential for rapid advancement. We were right to be afraid, but for the wrong reasons. Their advancement wasn't a threat to stability, it was a threat to complacency. Moving to the holographic display, I pointed to my home systems. The Centaur worlds have always valued progress, even when the Council urged caution. Humanity has proven that true security comes not from restricting knowledge, but from sharing it, from building bridges, rather than walls. Teth stood, her impressive height diminished somehow by recent events. You would abandon 10,000 years of tradition. No, High Counselor. I would honor our oldest tradition, the one we seem to have forgotten. The tradition of daring to reach for the stars, of pushing boundaries, of believing that tomorrow could be better than today. Hawks nodded approvingly. The Alliance welcomes the Centaur worlds, Ambassador KX. Or, should I say, Alliance Representative KX. One by one, other Council members began to shift uncomfortably in their seats. The representative from the Real system was the first to stand, then the Arcturus delegation. Within minutes, half the council had declared their intention to join the alliance. Teth watched her power base crumble with remarkable dignity. Finally, she too rose from her chair. "It seems," she said, her voice carrying a note of resignation, "that the council must adapt or fade into history. Earth's alliance has proven itself not just militarily superior, but philosophically sound. We request admission, not as leaders, but as partners in progress." Hawks extended his hand, a human gesture of agreement that had become widespread among the Alliance worlds. "Welcome to the future, High Counselor. All of you. Together we'll build something far greater than any single species could achieve alone." As the formal agreements were drawn up, I moved to stand beside Commander Blackwood. At the viewport, beyond the quantum-hardened windows, Earth's fleet hung in formation, a testament to what humanity had achieved when pushed to excel. "You know," I mused, "some might say this was your plan all along." Blackwood smiled, neither confirming nor denying. "The best plans, Ambassador, are the ones that succeed even when they fail. We didn't come here to conquer the galaxy. We came to wake it up." 10 years have passed since the day humanity redrew the maps of power in our galaxy. I stand now in the observation dome of Unity Station, the massive space facility that serves as the headquarters of the Alliance. Below me, Earth shines like a blue jewel, surrounded by a constant stream of ships from hundreds of worlds. Today marks my final day as senior representative of Alliance diplomatic affairs. Retirement calls, though humans tell me I'm still young for a Centaurian. Perhaps they're right, but a century of service feels like enough. The Alliance has surpassed even our most optimistic predictions. What began as Earth's response to rejection has grown into the most dynamic civilization our galaxy has ever known. The quantum slip drives that once seemed so revolutionary are now considered basic technology. Our newest ships can fold space in ways that would have seemed like fantasy a decade ago. Admiring the view one last time, I turned to find Admiral Victoria Stone beside me. Her hair, now completely silver, but her bearing as commanding as ever. She's aged well, as have all the humans who helped forge this new era. "Remembering the old days?" she asks. "Actually," I reply, watching a group of student ships practicing quantum maneuvers. "Did you know the Academy now has representatives from over 500 worlds?" Stone nods, pride evident in her expression, including several from beyond the former Council space. It turns out there were quite a few civilizations avoiding contact with us because of the Council's restrictive policies. A sleek vessel catches my eye, its design unlike anything I've seen before. "New prototype," Stone explains. "Joint project between Earth, Centaur, and Arcturus. Engineers. They're calling it a dimension skipper. Supposedly it can traverse parallel realities as easily as we now traverse space." I laugh, remembering how such ideas would have been dismissed as dangerous fantasy. Under the old Council, the galaxy has changed so much in 10 years. "For the better," Stone adds, watching a group of mixed-species children tour the stations. Lower levels. Though I hear the history books still debate whether the Council's rejection of Earth was their greatest mistake or their final gift to the galaxy. Perhaps both, I muse, though I doubt they saw it that way at the time. A soft chime indicates the arrival of more visitors. Commander Blackwood, now Alliance Fleet Admiral, leads a delegation of new ambassadors from the Outer Rim worlds. She spots us and steers the group our way. Senior Representative Kvex, she greets me warmly. "I hope to catch you before your retirement ceremony." Our newest Alliance members wanted to meet the famous counselor who first stood with Earth. I greet the newcomers, noting their mix of excitement and awe. They're from worlds that would never have qualified for council membership under the old system. Now they stand as equals in humanity's grand experiment. "Tell me," one of them asks, "did you know it would turn out like this when you supported Earth?" The question makes me smile. No one could have predicted this exactly, but I knew change was coming. The old council tried to bottle lightning, and lightning doesn't take kindly to being contained. Stone excuses herself to attend to fleet matters, leaving me with the new ambassadors. Below us, the quantum shipyards that ring Earth's orbit pulse with activity. New vessels rise daily, each one pushing the boundaries of what we once thought possible. You know what I find most ironic? I tell my audience, the Council rejected Earth because They feared humans would advance too quickly, would upset the balance of power. In trying to prevent that future, they guaranteed it. An alert sounds, drawing our attention to the main viewing screen. The Dimension Skipper. Prototype initiates its first test jump, reality rippling around it like water. Success or failure. The very attempt represents everything the Alliance stands for, the courage to reach beyond known limits. The greatest power in the galaxy began as outcasts, I continue, but they didn't seek revenge. Instead, they built something greater than the Council ever imagined. They turned exclusion into inclusion, fear into hope, and restriction into innovation. The prototype ship returns triumphantly, its crew already transmitting data that will push our understanding of reality even further. Another breakthrough, another step forward for all species. My retirement speech tomorrow will be brief, I tell my companions, because the true story of our success can be summed up in one simple truth: the Council sought to preserve power by holding it tight, while humanity achieved greatness by giving it away freely. As if to punctuate my words, a massive quantum rift opens in high orbit. The EIS Defiant emerges, still magnificent after all these years, now bearing the flags of 100 allied worlds alongside Earth's own. She's a reminder of how far we've come, and a promise of how far we'll go. Looking at Earth below, at the bustling station around us, at ships carrying beings from across the galaxy, I can't help but feel grateful for the Council's short-sightedness. Sometimes, the greatest victories come not from being accepted, but from being freed to forge your own path. The outcasts became kings not by conquering the galaxy, but by teaching it to dream. Again,